Well, hey, happy Thursday. This is To You Nap, and I
And
am
I'm
with
Dr. Michael
amazing.
Gross. How are you all? Thanks for joining us. Lots of things to talk about tonight.
Michael. I didn't know whether you were done talking. We were just having a really great conversation before we went live, and our topic tonight is AI and you. And it's phenomenal what we're going to be bringing to you. Michael has a beautiful, beautiful presentation for you. So I'm going to get right to it because we want to respect everybody's time. And thank you for popping in, whether you're here now or watch this later on recording. We're just really, really glad that people are joining us. So, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Michael. And this is the only part we script, okay? Because clearly I would miss something. This is very, very, very important. But Dr. Michael Gross is an author, professional keynote speaker, transformational coach, and an entrepreneur. For more than 3 decades, he's been on a spiritual path as an intuitive, a healer, a spiritual counselor, and a teacher. Through the guidance of spirit, Michael has assisted others in their personal quest for self empowerment, helping them to create the lives that they have long sought and to bring forth their own intuitive abilities. Michael currently teaches classes in spirituality, self empowerment, Reiki, and other modalities. In concert with God, the true source, he has also achieved great success and miraculous healings. He remains humble, knowing that the work that he does all comes from God, the true source. Michael currently lives in Lakewood, Washington, and has just recently launched his nonprofit. So, Michael, why don't you go ahead and tell the people a little bit about your nonprofit and then move right into the topic? I'm dying to hear about AI and you.
All right. Well, the International Institute of Self Empowerment, or as we call it, TISE, TIISE, and it's all about self worth, self love, and self esteem. It has 12 arms, meaning there's 12 directions we're going to go into in the future. And the current one is working with abused women, children, and men. And TU wrote a book called Healing the Holes in Your Soul, in which I had the honor of counseling her. And then I realized, as her coach, she's an expert in that field because she's like the mythological phoenix, being reborn again. And she's an expert in it. So I asked her to be the director of that division, which she has kindly granted to do. And that's it in a nutshell. And we'll be talking more and more about it. We're refining lots of areas in it. And I know we've been talking a long time, but anything good is worthwhile waiting for. So I want to thank all of you for joining me and to you. And I want to talk to you about artificial intelligence and you. Artificial intelligence is a wonderful thing, but it's also something that's very challenging. And I happened to see, I believe it was on YouTube, Morgan Freeman talking. And I said, well, looks like Morgan Freeman, but something a little weird. Lips were moving, sounded like Morgan Freeman. And then the person removed the picture, and it was actually him. He was using artificial intelligence to emulate Morgan Freeman. Then I sat there and thinking about it. Then I was talking to someone who said, oh, it's really great. It can actually write a book for you. It answers questions and will write anything you so desire. I said, wow. And then they took it to law school and had to take a law exam. And artificial intelligence scored a 90 out of 100 points. So we're looking at something that is very challenging in our life. The old joke used to be, well, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? And we know there's a lot of true facts and a lot of things that's fiction. What we're now being faced with is because of artificial intelligence, you're going to see over the next few years, rather rapidly, a decrease in colleges because the young people will say, well, I'll just use AI and I'll get all the information I want. Well, that's really great. You get all this information. And certainly in the old days, those who remember, we used to have encyclopedias, Britannica, and others, and we would look up information. Now you go to AI or Alexa on Meta Universe or Facebook or whatever you go, or even Amazon, and you get all these questions answered. But what do you really learn from it? part of the most important thing is in education is the research, experiencing it. And of course, a lot of people today, a lot of souls don't want to even read books. They just want, audiobooks, as they call it. And they just want to listen to it. Well, how much you really retain in audiobooks? Think about that. When you have to read something, what happens? You're using a lot of senses, right? You're reading it, you're focusing it, it's going into your brain, as opposed to audiobooks or anything that's verbal, you're only getting part of it. Well, why are you getting part of it? Because you're not really concentrating on the whole message. As you know, when you have a conversation with somebody, you only get anywhere from 10 to 20 or 30%, because the other, 50, 60, 70%, you're thinking of an answer, or perhaps you're bored or thinking of what you want to get done for the day. Not being necessarily disrespectful to the person. Therefore, as our world is changing with artificial intelligence, there's something that's going to be shifting within us. And in a short-term basis, could be what I'm talking about 20, 30, 40, 50 years, in order for us to really intake all the information that we get verbally or audibly, we're not going to retain very much information. So we'll have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But when you read something, there's a permanent implant, and that implant, so to speak, goes into the subconscious, where you're able to recall it. But we have so many conversations going on, we're overwhelmed with all kinds of information. The danger is that whatever is put on an AI, we don't know whether it's 100% fact or fiction. And you know the old story, if you tell a lie long enough, people will believe it, as we can see what's happening within our world right now. And the reason I bring all this up is we have to begin to use critical thinking and discernment. That's so important. Critical thinking is that, is this true or not true? Does it apply to me or does it not apply to me? My mother used to say when we lived in New York State, so if everybody jumped off the Empire State Building because they were right, you think it's right for you to jump off. Well, of course, we would say out here the Space Needle, or in France, the Eiffel Tower. But really, we have to begin to use our own intellect to really investigate. So where do you investigate first? Does it feel right? They call it a red herring, something that doesn't feel right. Does it feel right? Is what that person is saying. Now, perhaps they're quoting something from AI and their intent is pure. What is happening now is that if it doesn't feel right, then you have to think, I have to research that. And how would you research it? Well, certainly don't go to AI, all right, because not all the information is true. AI gathers all this information that's out there and just comes up with an explanation. It has no way of discerning fact from fiction. Now, I'm sure the developers of AI want to get the best of information. However, you don't know where they're getting the information is correct or isn't correct. The other fallout of AI is a lot of companies are going to be, what's the word now? Surplusing. That's the word they use. Surplusing their employees because the computer and AI is going to take over it. I mean, how many all of us that call up on the phone, and maybe you're calling your company, or you're talking to a healthcare company, or you want to order something and you get somebody that is from a foreign country. Now, there's nothing wrong with those souls because they're trying to make a living. But the reason they're surplusing it, Americans to get foreigners to do, is because they work at a cheaper rate. And it's not that we're denying them, but the rate that they're working at is probably more money than the average income for that country. But the problem is, at least I run into, is that when I talk to them, I can't understand them. And I don't want to offend them because I know they're trying and working hard. With artificial intelligence, they're going to be eliminated and you'll be talking to a computer, which will have a certain rules, but won't be able to think, contemplate, how do you solve that problem? And that's what's beginning to happen. And as I said, you ain't seen nothing yet, that old expression. And it's going to become more and more. So what do we need to do as human beings? we need to always be aware that we have to educate ourselves. And some of the information, I would say, on AI is probably factual or wherever they got it from, but we need to research it. So not only do you want to research AI information, but also information on other sources, whether you talk to an expert in it, and they could be biased, or whether you Google it or whatever, but you're getting a whole bunch of opinions. What's the best opinion in the world? That is listening to what I call true inner source guidance and your soul guidance. Stop for a moment. Well, why would I do that? What does my soul know about, genetics, or what does my soul know about this or that? You know what? It knows everything. And you're probably saying, wait a minute. How can I know everything? I'm not educated. Well, guess what? You help create everything that exists at this moment. Ever thought about that? So let's examine how you know all these things. Whatever you think, you create. Whatever you create, you experience. Have you ever thought about water? When we talked about water, do you ever think you helped create water? Do you ever think you helped create the animal, mineral, and vegetable kingdom? Did you ever think that what happens when you create something? So you make a delicious cake. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to taste it to see if it's delicious. That's a normal human response. And of course, you've done it or made a great dinner and you taste it. Guess what? You experience what you created. Back off for a minute. Do you ever think that you created water, you became water, you became a carrot or a plant or a cat or a dog or whatever? Everything that exists in our universe, you are part of or help create. Now, we talk about being a new soul. Maybe you didn't create all those things, but vicariously, everything that my soul has created, every other soul or every soul is aware of. And what we do is this information, this experience, we transmit back to what is called the true source. Because the true source is inner intelligence and all energy. Everything is energy. You are energy. Let's back up. So, as I said, your soul knows everything. You ever think about, okay, Michael, I'm going to test this. Well, I want to test this about something I've read about, theory of relativity or whatever it may be. Now, if you were to sit there and meditate and ask your soul for guidance and have patience instead of, all right, nothing's happened. I can't do this. Minute what you think you create, what you create, you experience. Hello. So you're either putting up roadblocks or you're opening yourself up to the unlimitedness. And you can see on my shirt, you're unlimited, and on my hat and Tio's hat, you're unlimited. And we need to remember that. Therefore, everything that you see, sense, feel, or hear, you already know or are aware of. Now, there are new things that are coming about right now, but anything that's ever been created, how do you create something? You have to think about it. When you think about it, it's like putting all the ingredients together. Again, if you're making a cake, you got the flour, the shortening, the flavoring, and the sugar and icing and whatever else. Maybe you put fruit in it. You know all the ingredients automatically. And we as human beings, or most of us, don't have patience to wait. What will happen is if you want to know anything and everything, you're able to access that information because you were part of it. Your soul is part of it, even if you come from another solar system. Why? Because we're all communicating simultaneously with the true source. And if you look at the true source, it's a wealth of information because vicariously, we're going out, we're experimenting, and then we are sending back through vibrations, frequencies, and energy everything we've created. Well, you're probably saying, Michael, that's really great. It's wonderful. What's that got to do with AI and me? Well, look at the future. And the future is during the Vietnam time, they brainwashed people. and they kept brainwashing people. And even Russia had done that in their gulags. Again, if you repeat something over and over and over again, or they would torture people, keep them awake until they couldn't sleep, and then they put these thoughts in their mind. Well, you can see how AI will not be that bizarre, but how it can be created. And I thought I'd share something with you that I thought was very important. And the other day I was meditating, and as I was meditating, John F. Kennedy came to me, and he was smiling. I said, "Wow, I'm honored." And he said to me, remember the famous quote, "Ask not what the country can do for you, but for what you can do for your country." You need to tell them that, Michael. They need to stand up, and they need to use not his words, but mine. True inner source guidance. You need to use critical thinking and then apply it to your life. The danger with AI and what is occurring is we're becoming robots, and that's really challenging. You know, you go to work, you take your lunch from 12 to 12:30 or 1, you take two 10-minute breaks or whatever, and that's what you do. And then you come home, get up, go to the bathroom, get up, have breakfast, go to work, take your lunch, take your breaks, come back, come home, have dinner, talk for a few minutes to the family, watch TV, do some paperwork, go to sleep. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Isn't that a great life? Or is it? To you, I know you wanted to say something.
I do. Thank you, Michael. This is a really, really interesting topic because when we look around, AI has a lot more publicity coming out now, but we've been AI has been part of our life for a long time, if you think about it. And uh, now more than anything, you call someone and it's like they have all your information and you didn't even tell them. It's linked to your phone number. I know we have to watch our time, but this is a really important topic, and we need to be aware. Can you point us a little bit, give us a little more clarity on how we can start paying more attention to what's happening around us without jeopardizing our own privacy and our own individuality? Because I was like a robot when I was working, punch the clock, go to work, the whole thing that you just explained. But how do we protect ourselves from that and hold on to who we really are and keep our soul going the way it needs to?
Perfect. Well, thank you for bringing that up. So stop for a moment. And everything in life is an experience, just like going out to different restaurants, you're experiencing different things. When I got my Social Security, it said, under penalty of fine of $500, don't give this Social Security number to anybody. That was a law. Well, we see where that's been violated. So what is happening is you're not Jane Doe, John Doe. You are your Social Security number. And based under that, they have all kinds of information. Now, Medicare used to have your Social Security number, and of course, it got hacked. So now they use another number where in Medicare and Medicaid where you can be identified. But it just shows you the danger of it. And it's really very scary. Now, as JFK was telling me, we have to speak up for what we believe is right. Too many people go, oh, somebody else will fix it. Oh, somebody else will change. Oh, somebody else will do it. And what we are doing is losing our voice. Now, losing our voice is a human factor in our life, but we're losing our spiritual voice. Remember, we're a spiritual being having a human experience. That's so important for you to remember. So, how do you change things? We change things by how we believe, what we talk, and speaking up for ourselves. Not in a way to offend people, but whatever is your belief system. So, we have the First Amendment, freedom of speech. However, laws are trying to be passed that you can no longer have freedom of speech because what's being thrown at you, you're intimidating me, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're frightening me, you're going to cause this to happen, that happens. And so you shut down because you don't want to offend them. But really, if I would say to you, well, you look like a carrot, and I think you ought to do something about it. You're a carrot. Well, what are you doing? I look like a character. You're offending me. You're homophobic. You're this and that and so on and so forth. And no, I'm just explaining my belief system. So what makes someone else's belief system better than yours? No. They can believe whatever they want. That's freedom of speech. And so do you. So you have to learn to speak up. I know to you, you wanted to say something. You're on mute.
Actually, it was a reaction when you said we have to protect our soul's voice. I just got this warmth coming through my heart and soul, reaching a point where it was like, absolutely, you hit the nail right on the head. If we're not listening to our soul, then who are we listening to?
Exactly. So what's happening is that all this fear is being spread, that you have to my way or the highway. So you speak what your truth is, and you can speak at the ballot box, voting for whatever party, whomever you feel is the best representative. And it's so important. I'm not trying to get political here. What I'm trying to get into critical thinking and our freedoms to express ourselves. And of course, maybe, you like carrots and I don't like carrots. And so carrots are great for you, Michael. Yeah, but I don't like carrots, but thank you. You shouldn't be offended. I'm just expressing my likes and dislikes. Many years ago, my friends, when we were really talking about political parties, we get in heating debates. And after we were through, we said, well, let's just respect each other and let's go out and have a beer. And we were friends. What's happened now? Families hate families because you're not that party or that belief system or this belief system. And we're causing a great divide. But more importantly, you are shutting down true inner source guidance and your soul, listening to your thoughts of your soul. So you're probably wondering, well, how do I do that? Very simple. In order to do that, you need to quiet your mind, meditate, and ask for the truth to come forward. Not your words and thoughts, but the truth to come forward. Then you have to have the strength to follow the truth in adversity, not diversity, in adversity. That's what you have to do. So we'll talk more about artificial intelligence next week. We'll also talk about robotics, because this is changing our life, taking away our self worth, self love, and self esteem and empowerment. So tune in next week for session number 2. Dio, I know we have some things to talk about, so please continue.
Okay, Michael, that was so interesting. And I'm so glad you're going to have part 2. Uh, why don't you tell the people about what happens on Tuesdays and the second Saturday of every month?
Yes. Every Tuesday, Pacific Daylight Savings Time, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. We have what I call Mass Conscious Awakening. And this Mass Conscious Awakening is you ask a question on a spiritual nature, and hopefully I can answer it. Then afterwards, we save 10 minutes. And during that 10 minutes, I deliver a motivational speech, and we have a couple of hundred of them. And in order to access that, you dial this number, free conference call, and the telephone number is
202 926 1059 and the access code.
125446 pound.
Well, I'll give that one again. It's 202 926 1059 and the code
125446 pound. And using that same number, the same access code, the second Saturday of every month, called the Mass Consciousness Healing. And that's from 9:55 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time to 11:01. It's an hour and 6 minutes Pacific Daylight Time. And the first 2, 4, maybe 5 minutes, I'll talk a little bit. And then afterwards, we go into silence. So what do we really do? What we do is, figuratively speaking, we channel the true source of unconditional love throughout our body. And then after that love fills our body, we send that energy out to Mother Earth the animal, mineral, and vegetable kingdom, and all the inhabitants. And Mother Earth, by the way, needs that. Think of Earth as your mother. What does the mother do? Supply you with love, joy, happiness, sustenance, protection, safety. And that's exactly what Mother Earth does. And she is very much a part of us as we are very much a part of her. So using the same area code and the same access code, please join us the second Saturday of every month. Now, beginning, I should say, in order to access this information and those motivational little thoughts that I give on Tuesday evening on the Mass Consciousness Awakening, there are a couple hundred, as I said, motivational, inspiring, high vibrational thoughts. In order for you to access that area code, which is different, is
The recordings are at 434-300-4170, and the access code
125446 pound.
I'll give that one again. 434-300-4170, and the code, Michael?
125446 pound. So I encourage all of you to join us. And it's so important for all of you because we have to realize you are the solution. And you can make a difference because you are unlimited. And we want to take a few minutes just to talk about these wonderful books. And this book, Healing the Holes in Your Soul, written by Tiu Knapp. It's all about empowerment, coming out of the dregs of fire and harm and disappointment and anxiety and abuse, and being like the mythological bird, the phoenix, and rising from the ashes. A must read. It's a wonderful book.
Thank you, Michael. But I'm going to start with everybody pointing to this book. This is Dr. Michael's The Spiritual Primer, and I highly recommend this book. It's his second edition with some extra golden nuggets in it. And if it wasn't for this book and this incredible gentleman right to my other side here, I wouldn't have written the book that he's holding. He has truly inspired and changed my life and woken my soul to this beautiful world that we actually have right in front of us, right within us. And definitely get your hands on this book, okay? The best way to get that too, Michael, I'm going to let the people know that if you would like a signed copy of this book, just connect with us. We have our contact information in the chat or in the comments below the live that we're doing right now. So contact us and we'll make sure that you get a signed copy in your hands, personally signed by one of us, whoever books you want. Or I highly recommend both of the books because they make great bookends, don't you think, Michael?
Absolutely. So everyone, the reason we talk about our books, we're not trying to sell books, right? Even though it looks like we are. What we really want you to do is to enlighten you and empowering you. And how can we do it? We're doing it through our books, to empowering you and enlightening you, to make a change in your life. And what's the best way? Some people say only audiobooks. When you write something and you read something, thousands of neurons and synapses in your brains are firing. And that's why, I prefer our books. So thank you, everyone. I want you to please take a moment. And if you go onto YouTube, and it's Dr. Michael B. Gross, you can watch all the replays, all the messages, all the things that we do. And it's a great reminder of you. Some of you say, yeah, I've heard this before. Maybe you have. But are you following through? Do you need a reminder? And that's what I call the replays are all about. And that's what the book is all about. Therefore, I want to wish everyone a happy week. Please spread the word and more people to tune in because we have to make that difference. We're reaching critical mass on this beautiful planet and we're going to lose our identity. So it's important for all of us to awaken others, to follow through. Remember, you are unlimited. Namaste, everybody. Thank you. We love you.
Namaste.
Have a great week. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Invite your friends.